If you have your Bibles, will you turn to Exodus chapter 14, please? If you don't have your Bibles, if you have a phone or a iPad, you can use that, or it'll hopefully be on the screen. I want to talk to you today on move forward. We're a bit early there, Matt. Or Maggie, sorry, Matt. Usually it is Matt, but Exodus chapter 14 says that the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward." Tell the Israelites to move forward. Move forward. There's something, a lot of things really annoy me. A lot of things. Sometimes I'm like Victor Meldrew. And one of those things is traffic jam. Can't stand traffic jams. I've been watching on the news during the week about the traffic jams down in Queen's Quay and how that everything was flowing normally. But the powers that be, these men of wisdom, decide in all of their wisdom, sitting behind a desk, let's put in a bus lane and we'll cause lots of traffic congestion. And so you got these lines of cars queued up down around the Titanic Quarter, taking an hour to get home. Usually whenever I'm in a traffic jam, I don't mind adding an extra 10 or 15 minutes to my journey. As long as I'm not stuck behind someone, if I'm driving and I'm moving forward, then that's all that matters to me. Because I would rather be driving 10, 15 minutes out of my way as long as I'm moving forward than stuck behind someone. And it's just, and then you're sat there, and then 5 minutes later, and then you always look to see if there's a gap, if there's an opening somewhere, or if someone's trying to get into your lane. I'm the one that will not let you into my lane, okay? Just be aware of that. But I'm also the one that is looking for an opening to try and get up, to get into another lane, to try and get through quickly. I don't have time for traffic jams. I want to continually move forward. Or whenever you're playing Monopoly, everybody play Monopoly? One of my favorite pastime memories. I love Monopoly. And you always love that card that comes up that says, "Advance to Trafalgar Square," or "Advance to Pall Mall." And then the dream sentence comes underneath, the dream instruction: "If you pass go, collect £200. And so it's not really a case then of like, you don't pick up your marker or whatever you were. You don't pick it up and then set it down in Trafalgar Square, pick it up and set it down in Pall Mall. If you're the car, then you be the car. Advance to Pall Mall. Get to go. £200, please, banker, because you know that the banker is one of your opponents and he's looking at every opportunity to stroke you. So you're like, cross my palm with the £200, and then on your journey until you get to Pall Mall or Trafalgar Square. Or if you're the boat, then you make the noises. You're the doggy, the pussycat, the iron. The iron, you remember the iron? But, you can't. You want to move forward. I don't know what sound an iron makes. I don't do ironing. That's what I got married for. Help me, Jesus. Forgive me, Lord, for I have sinned. Forgive me, Gemma, for I have sinned. See, no matter what ironing I did, it would never be good enough anyway. Trust me. It would always have to be done again. Do the dishes, I got to do them again. Hoover the floor, got to do it again. It's never good enough. Anyway, the background of the story before my life ends in the next kind of 45 minutes and you'll not see me again. We've just read here. Let me just break down the background, because what has happened is you have the children of Israel who have been released from 400 years of slavery. You remember how Joseph, whenever he's sold off by his brothers, and he ends up in Egypt under Pharaoh, and then his family come, and his family take up residence in Egypt. and then they die, and generations, the next generation and generation after that, and they begin to realize these Israelites are beginning to grow in number. Well, they weren't Israelites then, but they were to become Israelites. But anyway, they are growing in number, and we have got to do something about this. So they make them slaves. And it's out of that slavery then, after 400 years of slavery, that God is releasing them to set them up as the nation of Israel. He is bringing them out of captivity, out of slavery, to bring them to the promised land. And so what has just happened here, what we've just read, is this first kind of scenario where they have just been released from slavery. And they come to their first obstacle, their first hindrance, the first thing that is going to get in the way of them getting to the promised land. And it's the Red Sea. And what has happened is they have just been released from slavery. The Egyptian army are pursuing them. And so they come to this point in their journey where they have the Red Sea before them and the Egyptian army behind them. And they're stuck. What do we do? And the only thing that any church does in a situation like this is they moan, they grumble, and they complain. And they begin to moan the pastor Moses, why have you brought us out here? Have you brought us out here to die? Is this why you released us? Is this why you brought us out here? Just so that we're going to die in this wilderness? Just so that we're going to die in this desert place? Is that why, Moses? One of the things that I love about reading the story of Moses, and in particular about this story of them being released from slavery and of wandering through the desert, is because I see it so much like church life, where there are people who all they want to do is moan and grumble and complain, and all they want to do is gossip. You ever see them whenever they pull someone to the side? They get that, I need to talk to you about something, and then you see them standing in the car park, don't you? Or in the corner, you know, and it's like you can't be a part of the conversation because there's always something. There's always something. And that's what it's like here with Moses and with the children of Israel as they're released from slavery. And all they want to do is moan and grumble and complain. And they make this statement, did you bring us out here to die? And I think that in many respects, in some way, they kind of spoke that into their lives, because whenever you read on the story, a lot of them, a generation, they don't enter into the promised land. And they actually have spoken this over their lives, and they die in the wilderness without getting to get to the promise that God had set up for them. He brought us out to die here, Moses. And so Moses' response is quite simple. You only need to be still. The Lord will fight for you. I can imagine, you know, if it was me, it's like, no, the Egyptians, they're coming, and we've got nowhere to go. We're going to die. If we go into the water, we're going to die. If the Egyptians catch up with us, then they're going to slaughter us. So let me choose between drowning or being cut to pieces. I don't know. And Moses is saying, just be still. The Lord will fight for you. It's actually the wrong instruction. Moses actually gave them the wrong instruction. Moses, the instruction that he's given is based on what he has seen before. Based on the fact that God has spoken to him through a burning bush. Based on the fact that God has said that I'm going to be with you. Based on 10 plagues that has caused the heart of Pharaoh to turn and to release them from captivity. Based on everything that Moses has seen prior to this, Moses says it's okay. Just be still, and the Lord will fight for you. But look at God's response to Moses. What does God say to Moses? Why are you crying out to me? Why are you crying out to me, Moses? Because you brought us here, God. Hello? That's God's response. Why are you crying out to me? In other words, this is not a moment to be still. This is not a moment to wait on me. Now, I know that there are times when we've got to be still and know that He is God. There are times when it says in Isaiah, we wait, those that wait on the Lord, they that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. There is a time for waiting. There is a time for being still. But there is a time for moving forward. And this was a time for moving forward. The problem, I think, is for many of us in Christianity is, when do we stand still and when do we move? Yeah. It's just me then, Johnny. It's very often in my life I've been like, okay, God, do I wait on you to move? Or do I move? And I think that's sometimes a struggle that we have. At what point do we just stand still? And at what point do we move? And in this situation, and today, I'm telling New Life City Church, it is time to move forward. And so he says to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Do you ever be praying for something? Do you ever be going through something, through circumstances, through situations? And I believe that there are people in this place today. And you're standing still, waiting on God, praying to God about something. And God's word to you today is, why are you crying out to me? You ever be like, whenever you're a kid growing up and, maybe you're a parent yourself and the kids come in and the kids start to moan about something and you're like, why are you telling me? What do you want me to do about it? Was that just me growing up? Yeah, it was just my parents. and sometimes I think, is this what God is saying? Because there's a serious situation here where these guys are going to be killed, where you got the Egyptian army about to overrun them, about to kill them, or they've got the Red Sea in front of them. And so Moses is like, just be still. And then God's like, why are you crying out to me? Why are you bringing me into this? What are you bringing me into this for? And God's instruction is, Moses' instruction was be still. But God's instruction was, tell them to move forward. Move forward. And that's a word for you today. You're waiting on God to move in a certain situation, but you're standing still. And God is saying, stop standing still. Move forward. The situation may be there, but that does not hinder you or prevent you from moving forward. And this was the story of the children of Israel. They were called to move forward, called on a journey. And this was the story of their journey to continually move forward. In Exodus chapter 40 and verse 36, it says this, it says that whenever the cloud was lifted from above the tabernacle, the Israelites would set out through all stages of their journey. You see, whenever they moved into the Red Sea and moved through the Red Sea, God parted the sea and they moved through on dry ground and they moved into the desert, they moved into the wilderness. And as they wandered around the wilderness, they followed the presence of God, and the presence of God was evident in a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And they were to follow the presence of God. And that's what it's saying here. They built this tabernacle, and the presence of God would lift from the tabernacle and would begin to move through the wilderness. And as it moved through the wilderness, they followed the presence of God. And when it stopped and when it rested, then they would stop and they would rest, but then it would continually move forward. And when it moved, they moved, following the presence of God. We're not called to follow our hearts. We're not called to go with our emotions or how we're feeling. We're called to hear the Spirit of God and to follow Him and what He is saying. What is He saying to you? Today, let me say, He is saying to you, move forward. What is He saying to you as an individual? What instruction is He giving you? We're to be led by the Spirit of God, led by the presence of God. Psalm 143 says, teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your good Spirit lead me on level ground. They were led by the presence of God. And He brought them to the promised land. See, the presence of God, they followed the presence of God through every stage of their journey. We have stages in our journeys, but we must be led by the Spirit of God. Allow Him to lead you on and allow Him to lead you through. They were led through the Red Sea. They were led through the desert. And they came to the Promised Land. This was a place that was promised by God to the children of Israel. This was the whole reason why they were brought out of slavery. They were released from slavery with a purpose. They weren't released from slavery just to be free. But there was more to it than that. And the thing about this situation, this scenario about the children of Israel being released from slavery is it kind of represents us being released from our darkness, being released from our slavery, being released from our sin, becoming Christians and being followers of Jesus Christ, being led by Him. But He doesn't lead us out of slavery just so that we can be free. That's brilliant in itself. But there is so much more to the freedom. We have freedom with a purpose. And there is a promised land that is set up for every single one of us. And so what happens is, having gone through the wilderness, God leads them to the promised land. And they send out 12 spies to spy out the land of Canaan. Let's see what's in there. Let's see what it's like. This is somewhere that they've never been before. So they sent in one from every tribe to spy out the land. And they all come back with a report. They come back with what they have seen. And what they have seen is amazing. By way of what is being produced, the grapes are huge. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. It's a land of abundance. But there's giants in the land, and they say that we're like grasshoppers in their sight. This was the report that was being brought back by 10 of the spies to Caleb and Joshua. Actually step forward and say, you know what? That may well be true, but God has promised us this land and we can take it. The problem is that everybody listened to the 10. And they were like, you know what? We can't take this. But Caleb and Joshua were like, yeah, but God has given us this. He's promised us this land. And there's a promise set up for you on your journey. You are saved with a purpose. You are saved for a purpose. There is a promise to you and a promise for you. And here they are met with opportunity. There's an opportunity to take that which God has already promised to them. And that's why sometimes there's a time to be still and to stand, but there is a time to move forward and to take hold of that which is rightfully yours. You may not possess it yet, but it's promised to you. It's yours. Move forward and take hold of what belongs to you. Opportunity. And sometimes what we do is, as Christians, we praying for God to open a door, praying for God to bring us an opportunity, to bring an opportunity our way. And maybe God's saying, why are you bringing this to me? Go and create an opportunity for yourself. You have the freedom to go. I have already commissioned you to go into the world and to preach the gospel. You're released. Go do that. I'm not going to give you a 10-point plan on how you do it and what's right and what's wrong and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Go and make disciples. Go and preach the gospel. Go and be the church beyond these four walls. Sometimes we sit and say, oh God, would you open a door for me? Maybe the door is already open, but we're just sitting here on our backsides, refusing to get up. And there's doors already opened. And there's a world already out there waiting on us. And we're waiting on God. And God's like, what are you waiting on me for? Move forward. They have an opportunity to take the promised land. As a result of bad reports, they turn. Why? Because they're familiar now with the desert place. They're familiar with the wilderness. This is what they have known. This is what they have become accustomed to. I think that's why sometimes a lot of people backslide from their Christian walk. People who have come from a certain type of background and they get saved and they're walking on their journey. But then they come to a point psychologically, mentally, spiritually, where they're going into the unknown. And this is all new. And for some people, we love stuff that we don't know. But for other people, it's a scary place to be. Because we don't know what's beyond this. If I take another step, where is it going to lead me? Where is it going to take me? And we think back to those moments because this is what we're familiar with. We'd rather walk in the desert than move forward into opportunity. Because this is what we're used to. This is what we're familiar with. We find comfort in this desert place. I want to challenge you, church, and encourage you. There's an opportunity today to move forward. Here's the other problem. Is that the first time, whenever they came to the Red Sea, and they've got the Egyptian army that's pursuing them, and they've got the Red Sea in front of them, and they're told, move forward. They were moving forward into somewhere there where they had never been before. But here was the thing about that first time. They didn't have much choice. Because if they didn't move, they were going to be killed. And so Moses is saying to them, okay, God's saying move forward, so move forward. And they move forward, and God parts the sea, and they move through on dry ground. But they come to the promised land, and they have a thing that they have probably never had before in their lives, and that's a thing called choice. They never had choice before. They were slaves. They were in slavery all of their lives. They come to the Red Sea. There's not much choice. We stay here, they're going to kill us, so we might as well move forward. And they move forward, and they come to a promised land, and they have a choice. Do we move forward, or do we go back? Never had this before. Can I encourage you today to get yourself into a place where your only choice and your only option is Jesus? Let your only option be Jesus. Let it be nothing else. Let it be no one else but Jesus Christ, the author and the finisher of your faith. Because whenever He brings you to an opportunity, He will bring you through that opportunity. And what they decided was, we have choice. We'll go back to the only thing that we know. And we'll wander this desert because it's safer back here. And it's kind of crazy how that for 40 years they then wandered the desert, living off every single day for 40 years manna and quail. Manna and quail every single day. There's a few of us, some of the young adults decided in their wisdom, stupid idiots, that they would do a Daniel fast for 21 days. We're just over 1 week into the Daniel fast. And it's fruit and vegetables every day, and it's killing me. My goodness. And I've lost like about 5 pounds so far. I think Luke said he's like a half a stone. But I don't know about them ones. We were kind of chatting yesterday on the group chat, and Joanne's throwing up about any meals, any plans that we can look at, that we can, and it's all revolving around fruit and vegetables. Ugh. And I can imagine that for 40 years on manna and quail, every single day of your life, manna and quail, and I'm thinking, not a bit of wonder they grumbled, moaned, and complained, but you know what? It was their own fault. Because they had opportunity, and I'm thinking of the promised land, and the big grapes that was there, and the abundance of food that was in the promised land that they could have had. And here they are, wandering the desert, living off manna and quail. Some of the most depressed people in churches are people who had opportunity and who turned away from the opportunity. And they're sitting in church halls today, moaning and grumbling and complaining. And you know what's worse? Is that there are people living in their promise. Don't let anybody live in your promise. God has a promise for you. And if you turn away, and if you choose the easy road, because that's what we do very often in life, what's the path of least resistance here? What's easy street here? I tell you what it is. We just go back the way we came because that's what we know. There is opportunity. Don't let anybody live in your promise. There is an opportunity afforded to every single one of us. And if you don't take it, someone else will. I will not let anybody take my opportunities that come my way. And what happens is, because of the choice that they have, God says, okay, you wander, but you're never going to see it then. Your children will. And a generation pass, and they get another opportunity. Another opportunity. And they come forward, and lo and behold, two of the key men that lead them, or two of the spies that said originally, we can take this land, Joshua and Caleb. And Joshua leads them. And they come to another obstacle. It's called the River Jordan. And this time what happens is the priests, they're carrying the Ark of the Covenant. And as they approach the River Jordan, they step into the River Jordan. As they step in, the water stops flowing. And they walk through the River Jordan towards their promise. They move forward, church. They move forward. I want to encourage you today, move forward. What is it in your life right now that you have to do that is your moving forward? Because for every single person in this place, it could be something different. Maybe for some of you in this place, your moving forward is you getting saved. Your moving forward is you saying yes to Jesus Christ. Maybe your moving forward is that you've wandered from God and you need to get back in relationship with Jesus Christ. That's your moving forward point. Maybe you've had an opportunity and you didn't take it and you walked away. And maybe you're one of those people and you're actually seeing someone else walking in your promise. And God, in His grace and in His mercy, in this covenant of grace that we're under today, will give you another opportunity. I wonder today, will you take the opportunity that is afforded to you? Let's not stand. Let's not sit. Let's not wait. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to do? You think about that right now as we close in prayer. I'm going to finish just after we pray. I want to talk to you about the leaflets at the back here. Would you think, what is it that you need to do to move forward?